Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name's Angela and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. And here on my channel you will find videos about my adventures in knitting, crochet, spinning, and most recently my adventures of being a new yarn shop owner. Today is 2nd of August. Sorry, it's we're quite early in the morning. Well, early for me. It's about 8:30. I'm not a morning person and I have been wide awake since about 6 o'clock this morning. No particular reason, I just woke up, couldn't get back to sleep. So I'm feeling a bit out of it, a bit bleary eyed, which you can probably tell. Yeah, it is what it is, and hopefully you will excuse my tired eyes. You're here to see the knitting, not to see me, so so my video today is going to be a project update video. So I have some works in progress to show you, a few finished objects, a couple of almost finished objects. Also I have a new segment which will be sewing. I've got a tiny little bit of sewing to show you, and I have also got one acquisition to show you. So yeah, if you tuned into my last video, that was filmed at my shop, and I explained to you that the shop had been closed for repair because the roof had leaked. So just a quick update on that before I plunge into my works in progress today. The shop is back open again. The builders carried out repair on Saturday. We had huge downpours on Sunday, and touch wood, the shop stayed dry, so I think that was a really good test. And yesterday, which was, no, not yesterday, Monday, I was able to get everything back on the shelves, and we're open again as normal. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that. Thanks to everyone who has messaged me, left comments with their well wishes regarding that incident. Yeah, I'll probably talk more about that again in the next shop update video. So for now, on to the knitting. As it's very early, I'm still a bit croaky. I've got a nice cup of lemon and ginger tea from Twinings, and I'm drinking it from my hairdo mug, which was a birthday present from my lovely other half last year. So take a quick sip of that to keep me going. Right, okay, so without further waffle, hopefully, I shall give you a tour of my finished objects. So I've got 3 finished objects. I'm saying 3, I've lost one. I'm sure it will turn up. Yeah, anyways, 3 finished objects, 3 almost finished objects, and a couple of works in progress. I'm not going to spend time talking about all of my works in progress today. Last time turned into a really long video, and quite a few of the things that I was working on last time haven't really seen any love, so I shall bring those things back as and when I've actually been working on them. The reason a lot of those whips haven't seen any work is I've started a few new things, and actually some of them are going to be popping up now in the finished objects. I've been starting to work on the next window display for the shop, so that's taking up quite a bit of my knitting and crocheting time. So anyway, I've got one spinning finished object to show you. I think I showed you this as kind of a finished object last time, but since then I have washed it, plied it. Yeah, so it's a tiny little bundle of hand spun in these beautiful orange, reds and yellows. It was spun from a tiny little bumper fluff that I had from Bakewell Hearts, which I bought on an Instagram sale that she had probably 2 years ago, before I really started to spin. So and if you remember, I was testing out my new spindle, yeah, that was really fun. So ready to do something with that now. I've I really enjoyed knitting with my hand spun when I made the little hearts the other week, so I've got plans to turn the little basket of hand spun into similar little ornaments and objects like that. So yeah. Next finished object. Now I'm saying these are finished. They are washed and blocked. Ends are woven in, ends are woven in, but I haven't actually trimmed the ends off, so if you see anything sticking out, then that's why. I probably should have done that. I've got limited time this morning. I need to obviously be in the shop soon. We've got a busy day with groups today, so I've just grabbed the things that I finished, but yeah, a few of them need final touches. But anyway, these are my jelly roll socks, which I've shown us a couple of times as works in progress here. So there's sock number 1, sock number 2. So as you can see, I'm channeling my inner 80s girl with the bright neons. That one is really blowing out. That is looking super bright. It's a really, really grey day here today, but I'm sat up in our attic room, which is my craft room. We usually get really good light. We've got a couple of windows in the roof, so yeah, even in the non-sunny grey light, these are shockingly bright. So yeah, the pink and purple yarn is my own hand-dyed yarn. I've spoken about that before. I dyed it at a workshop at Bristol Wool Fair a couple of years ago. And then the super fun neon green, I've actually bought the tag this time because I kept I've said in my previous couple of videos that it's a Countess of Blaze yarn, but I've never had the name to hand. So it's on the Countess of Mohair sock, which is a blend of superwash merino, nylon and kid mohair. And the colourway was part of her Odyssey trail, so it's a limited edition. I don't think it's available anymore, although Countess of Blaze does do a lot of really super fun bright colours, so she may have something similar. I haven't been to her website for a little while because I don't want to be tempted. So the colourway is called My Own Sons at Your Service, which I think I said to you before, the whole Odyssey Trail series was dyed based on the Odyssey book by Homer, which is a classic from ancient Greece. A lot of the colourways were just named after quotes in the book, so that one doesn't roll off the tongue super easy, so I kept forgetting what it was. So yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about those. I knit them on 2.25mm higher sharps, and there are lots of different options in the pattern. I'm blanking on the designer name, so sorry about that, but I've got a project page on Ravelry, and there are lots and lots of sock projects made from this pattern, so you've probably seen them before. Yeah, there's lots of different options, so as you can obviously see, I decided to reverse the colours. I mainly did that because I wasn't sure whether I'd have enough of this one left, my hand dyed. I've used it in a couple of other projects for little bits and pieces, so I decided to reverse the colours, and I did the sort of colour work heel and also the colour work rib on the arch, but the pattern gives different variations for the rib, so I think it suggests you could do the rib entirely in an opposite colour, or obviously you could just do a rib in the colour that you are making the main body of your socks in. So yeah, lots of different options, a really fun pattern. There's a couple of tiny weeny little errors in this. I don't know what I did or how I even managed it. I'm chucking that one away over there. But so basically, without giving anything away, you knit, so you can see all the ends now, you knit the pieces that curl above the ankle. You knit one, then you keep that on a spare needle. You start knitting the main body of the sock, and then you join them together. And for this, on this sock, for some reason, when I started joining them together, don't know if you can see that there, I've got a few stitches of the pink showing through. So how I managed that, I do not know, because it doesn't carry on round the rest of the sock. So it was obviously some peculiar quirk that happened there. I was obviously doing something that I shouldn't have been. But yeah, I figured it's right on the roll there. So you can sort of see, if I don't, you can see it obviously if I pull the roll back, but it's barely noticeable. And to be honest, if anyone is that close to my ankle to notice that mistake, then they really need to get out of my personal space. So yeah, that's finished object number one. The second finished object that I have is a crochet project. Now this one wasn't even a work in progress when I recorded the last one of these videos, but it's been a really fun make. My friend Rian, who I've mentioned quite a lot on the previous videos, has been helping me organise the shop since I took over, and she has recently started supporting a charity. I think it's called Life for African Mothers, but don't quote me on that. I'll try and find out a little bit more for next time. But basically this charity has a collection point nearby in Cardiff, and they send out blankets and a few clothes and toys, I think, to maternity hospitals or wards. I mean, I don't know the actual setup, but over in Africa, in Malawi. So they ask people to donate knitted and crocheted items to send over to new babies. So Rian's recently got back into crochet, so she started to make a couple of blankets for the charity, and she dropped her first lot off and found out that they were really short of blankets. They had quite a lot of the little clothes and things. I believe they have a website, and then on the website they've got a couple of patterns for some of the things that they are in need of in terms of donated items. But they've got a lot of the clothing, but they were short of blankets. So I thought, oh well, you know, I've got tons and tons of scraps hanging around, both here at home and also in the shop. So it would be a good way to use up some scraps to make a couple of small blankets. They said that their preference was for blankets of around about 1 metre square. So I just decided to do a big granny square using up a whole bunch of scraps that I've had. So I'm going to hold this up. Obviously I'm going to disappear behind this, so I don't know exactly what you will see, but it's pretty wild in colour. So yeah, here it is. So yeah, just a basic granny square, which I carried on crocheting until I got to 1 metre, and I used up lots and lots of double knit scraps, which was really good. And actually it's really fun, although the colours are pretty wild, and you know, I tried to stick to yarns which had mainly a blue or a green theme, but you can see some other colours sort of crept in. I used some variegated yarns which had blue and green in, but also had pops of brighter colours, but it's actually quite fun to look through the blanket and think, oh yeah, I remember these projects. So in the centre, those yarns were used in a couple of the baby projects that I made for my lovely customer Anne. Again, this crazy one, you might remember the cabled cardie that I showed on the last podcast. Some of the blues I used in the blue and white window display that we've got in the shop at the moment, and then some of the greens on the edge were left over from the very first project that I made for the shop window, which was a hexagon blanket. So yeah, it was quite fun, very addictive, you know, very in front of the TV, just add a few rounds, don't have to think about it. So yeah, I've got plans to make another couple of those. I mean, I've probably got scraps, particularly in the shop, to make tens, maybe hundreds, probably not hundreds, but I've got plans to do at least another 2. I'm thinking one that will be mainly pinks and purples, and also I have got a fancy to make a rainbow one. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't think I'll start another one of those immediately, but you never know. As I say, it's quite a nice don't have to think about it project. So yeah, I used a 4mm hook for that. yeah, don't think there's anything else to say about that. So on to the next few projects I am calling almost finished. So again, 2 of these have been started since my previous project video, and one of them was started last time, so I'll show you that one first. Now these are going to be my wrist warmers, and they're made from handspun that I purchased at Wonderwall earlier on this year. So I don't know the fibre content, I don't know who spun it. It was on one of the Weaver and Spinner guild stands. So I picked it up as I thought, A, I love the colours, and B, that it would be fun to knit with other people's handspun, as I'm a new spinner myself, just to really kind of experience that. So I have knit, I divided the yarn. I wasn't sure how much yardage or anything like that I had, so I divided my skein in half, and I've basically knit 2 squares. So all I need to do is fold them in half and sew up the sides, leave myself a thumb hole, and then I shall have some nice wrist warmers for the autumn winter. So yeah, almost finished. Probably 15 minutes work, if that, to sew up those, but I just haven't had the time to do that yet. So they will definitely be done in the next day or so. I knit those on 4.5mm needles. Again, I wasn't sure what weight the yarn was. It's quite thick and thin. There's some bits there obviously that are fairly unspun, but then I've got some other bits which are fairly tightly spun. So yeah, I went with 4.5. It seemed to be double knit slash Aran to me when I was looking at it. So there wasn't really any scientific, sorry, you're on a swivel chair and I keep knocking the chair. So yeah, I didn't sort of do any scientific calculations or use any gadgets to figure out the weight. I just kind of eyeballed it and cast on with the needles that I thought were going to be suitable. Right, next almost finished object, and this one I only started yesterday. As I said earlier, I'm working on the next window display for the shop, and basically the idea is I've got a little cot that I'm going to put in the window, and the cot's going to have a blanket, a soft toy, which is also coming up shortly in my almost finished objects. And I thought it'd be fun to have some baby yarns and some patterns and things in the window. They seem to be really popular at the moment. Well, they're popular all year round, but obviously with the summer lots of people aren't that interested in doing bigger garment knits and things. So yeah, I thought it'd be quite fun to have a baby themed display in the window. So I decided to make a little mobile. Now I'm calling this an almost finished object because I don't know yet whether it's actually finished. So if I just show you what I've made. So I've knitted some hearts, and this was using the same pattern that I used for my handspun hearts the other week, which is a free pattern by Susan B. Anderson called Little Hearts. You can find it on Ravelry. I think the link on Ravelry takes you to the Barrett Walcole blog, and the pattern's there. They're super fun, really easy, really quick knits. They take about 20 minutes each to knit up. But yeah, I don't know whether this is going to be big enough in terms of whether it will stand out against the size of the cot. So I'm going to take this into the shop today, and if I think it needs more, then I'll add a few more sort of hearts, which won't take too long. Yeah, so I'm really pleased. I started this at sort of 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and then by the time I went to bed I had a pretty much finished mobile, which was super fun. So I have used some oddments of Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino yarn. If I just grab one of the balls, this is the greeny colour, which I think is called Cactus. So this is the yarn, Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino, and it is a merino microfiber and cashmere blend. super soft. It's really popular amongst my baby knitters. It's not the cheapest yarn. It's almost £5 for a 50-gram ball, but I have lots of knitters who won't knit anything out with anything else for baby projects. So it comes in a huge range of colours. There's like 50+ colours. It's super soft, and yeah, it's really nice to work with, both knit and crochet. It works up really well. So yeah, knit up the hearts. I chose five different colours, and then for the top I had a few embroidery hoops. So I have used the inner wooden part of the embroidery hoop, and I used one of the colours for the heart, so the green in this case, and I just literally cast on until I got to a length that would fit around the hoop. Garter stitched about 6 rows, I think, and then cast off again, and then just sewed it shut around the inside of the hoop. I used the yarn held double, so originally that wasn't my intention, but the hearts were really quite small, and I knew that that wouldn't really stand up in terms of being in the window. You need something that's fairly bold and striking, so I decided to pull the yarn from each ends of the scraps that I had left, and I've held it double. So I knit these on 5.5mm needles, 5.5 also for the piece that went around the hoop, and then I crocheted, again holding the yarn double, crochet chains to join them on, and then crochet big long chains for the piece that will hang. So yeah, that's that one. So you might have heard my little cat meowing in the background. She gets a bit frustrated. We don't have a cat flap. So and she likes to be in and out, so we can't let her out in the day, because otherwise she'll be sat outside the door meowing all day, annoying the neighbours. But she likes, when we're home, we usually just open the back door so she can come and go. So she gets a bit frustrated when we're sat at home and the door's not open. Hence coming in meowing at me angrily. Right, so one more final almost finished object, and again this is a new one that I haven't shown you, again for my window display. And I have to say, although this is super cute, I hated every stitch. Let me show you the pattern. So it is a rabbit to go into the cot in the window display, and it's a pattern from Serda, pattern number 1243 if anyone is interested, and it's knit from snowflake yarn, which is this fluffy sorry, losing my voice, which is this fluffy yarn. It's got absolutely no give to it, and these bits, it's so easy to put your needle through the fluffy bit rather than through the actual core of the yarn when you're knitting. So I ended up on some rows with more stitches than I should have, less stitches than I should have. Oh yeah, anyway, it's done now. Well, almost done. My version hasn't got a face, but all the bits are together, and yeah, I mean, it is so super cute. It is so super snuggly. It's quite a big toy. It's about 40 odd centimetres, I think. But as you can see, I've yet to put the eyes and the nose on. I've been procrastinating on that a bit. It's been put together since the weekend. I just haven't got round to putting the facial features in. Again, it's probably going to be another like 10-minute job. It's just some black yarn with Y nose and then some eyes, as you can see from the pattern. So that's literally going to take 5 minutes, but I had to put this to one side because, as I say, I really didn't enjoy knitting it, but I am really pleased with the end product, and I think that's going to look really cute in the window. So I used 2 colours. Obviously the original pattern uses pink. I used a grey. A lovely friend and customer has made me a blanket to go in the cot, so I haven't had to do all of the things for the window display myself this time, which has been fantastic. But I decided to go for neutrals, so she's crocheted me a blanket using 2 different greys and almost like a beige. I'm sure I'll show you that because I expect my next shop video next week will probably be more about the window display. But yeah, so I decided to go with neutrals, and so I went for this nice grey. I think that's actually quite a new colour in the Snowflake. I have to be honest, when I took over the shop, Snowflake I thought was going to be one of the yarns that I was going to discontinue, but it seems to still be quite popular, even though it's a bear to knit. Yeah, one of those things, so you never can tell. So yeah, that's it for finished objects, almost finished objects. I have only got 2 works in progress to show you. As I say, a lot of my time has been concentrated on the bunny and the crochet blanket. Even though the crochet blanket wasn't something that had a deadline to it, it was just a really fun project. And it was nice to sort of raid the scrap bin and use up some things that have been sitting around for a little while. And also, as I say, good TV project, so it got quite a lot of work done to it. So yeah, 2 works in progress to show you. Again, neither of these I think were works in progress last. I'm terrible. I keep starting things, never, well, I'm not going to say never finishing things, so I've got a pile of finished objects, but yeah, anyway. So the first thing is a baby knit. So my lovely customer Anne, who I made some baby garments for recently, has said that those have gone down really well, and she's asked me to make some more in a slightly bigger size. So the first one, I'm doing a cardigan, and I'm using this pattern, which is again another Serdar pattern. It's pattern number 1255. It's just for a simple cardigan, but Anne really liked the sort of folded collar on this one. I'm not using this yarn though. What I have done is I'm going for a striped effect, but I have picked out some baby bamboo yarns. I'm just trying to see if I've still got a ball. I think I've got a ball with the, yeah, with the band on. So it is a Serdar yarn. So it's Serdar Baby Bamboo, which is a 80% bamboo, 20% wool blend. It's quite nice for sort of transitional knits, so it'll be nice for autumn, spring. It's not obviously going to be as warm as a pure wool garment. It's quite nice and silky as well. I guess it's fairly similar to a cotton in terms of you know, it doesn't have like the sort of give of wool or anything like that. But so far I've just knit the back. So as you can see, I'm making up my own stripes. I'm using 3 different colours. I've got 2 balls of the light blue, so I am intending on using that for all of the rib sections, and then I've got a ball each of the dark blue and the grey, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that that's going to be enough to see me through the garment. I'm pretty sure that it will be, but I shall probably, as I say, do all the cuff, all the ribs and things in that blue, and I shall possibly do, or probably do the collar in that light blue as well. So yeah, I'm pleased with how that's working up. I just cast on, didn't really have a plan for the stripes, but in the end sort of went for something. I knit the rib section and then went for something that was sort of proportional to the rib for the striping, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how that one's working up. Now that I've finished the stuff for the window display, then I shall get back to working on that, and hopefully that will come together pretty quickly. And then my next work in progress is a sock. This is using some brand new yarn that we recently had come into store. I'm just having a look to see if I've got the label in the bag, and I do. It's by Stylecraft, and it's called Head Over Heels, and this colour is shade 3106, and the colourway is called Ingleborough. And pretty much the only reason that I bought this particular colourway is because a couple of years ago James and I holidayed in the Yorkshire Dales with James's parents, and we had a day, James and I, where we walked up Ingleborough. So I decided we both need Ingleborough socks. So I've cast on, here is the yarn in the cake. I have cast on for James's pair of socks. Now I'm using, I'm hoping to be super sneaky and get 2 pairs of socks out of one ball. So James likes his socks quite long, so I'm making his first, and then I'm thinking with whatever is left I'll split in half and just make mine toe up socks from whatever's left. I don't mind shorter socks, and actually having made the jelly rolls, I realised that's only my 3rd pair of sort of ankle socks, so it'd be quite nice to have a few shorter socks in my sock collection. So for James's socks I am using this yarn, which is a lovely green colour, which matches or contrasts with some of the striped colours in the yarn, and it's a Lana Gross yarn, Lana Grosser yarn. I think it's a German yarn. I'm never going to be able to pronounce that. And this is colour 1362. So I have finished, aside from the heel, 1 sock. So yeah, these lovely like aubergines, blues and greens. So yeah, I've got some yarn in for a heel, and so for James's socks, I've only made him 1 other pair of socks, and he's got quite well, compared to me, he's got quite skinny legs. So the last sock I made him, I did 1 by 1 rib for the whole leg, but there's no way I was going to do that again. So I'm kind of winging it this time and just hoping that these will be okay. I'm using Higher Sharps 2.5mm needles. I've cast on 60 stitches. I did about 12 rounds of 1 by 1 rib. I've done 70 rounds for the leg, and then 65 odd rounds for the foot before starting the toe decrease. So yeah, first sock done, and I am part way down the leg of the second sock. My little Moosey stitch marker is showing me that that point is halfway through the leg, so that's 35 rounds. So obviously I've got another few rounds to go before I finish the leg and put in the yarn for the heel. So yeah, I'm really enjoying those. It's really fun yarn to work with. It was kind of nice to try some new sock yarn. It's not quite as rough and rustic as something like an opal, and I do love my opal sock yarn. It's a bit softer than that, but yeah, I'm really enjoying how it's working up. I think it's dyed really nicely, fun stripy colours, and yeah, I think I will probably use some blue probably for my contrast heels, toes, cuffs, but I don't need to make that decision yet. I've still got half of James's pair to finish before I need to think about that. So yeah, that's it for all of my works in progress. As I say, I've got tons more, but I'm not going to show you anything else because nothing else has really had any work done, other than my Padina cardigan. So I don't know if you remember, I'm making a cardigan from Rowan Soft Yak, and I have finished knitting all of the pieces now. So originally I was hoping to have it finished by the end of last week, because we were going to be having an event which was going to be afternoon tea with Rowan. So my local Rowan rep was going to come and showcase all of the Rowan yarns and some patterns and things, but obviously we had to cancel that because of the leak in the shop. So the need to, I originally wanted to finish that cardigan so I could have it as a sample for that event, but when the leak happened and we had to cancel them, the urgency to finish that project went off. So I haven't yet pieced that all together, but hopefully that will be another finished object soon. Right, I'm conscious that I need to leave soon, so I need to quickly wrap this up. A couple more things to show you. So as promised earlier, I've got a new section, which is a sewing section. Now, I'm not sewing garments or anything like that. I have been sewing some project bags. So anyone who may have followed me on social media for a while knows that prior to me owning the shop, I did for a while have an Etsy shop, which I used to sell my project bags, notion pouches, things like that, and it was called the Little Orange Cat, after my little orange cat Newtie, who I'm looking at as she is rampaging around the craft room causing chaos. I had a few project bags left from the days when I was doing the Etsy shop, and I thought lots of people have been commenting on my project bags when I've been using them in the shop, so I thought, well, I'd take them to the shop and have them for sale and just see what happened. And they have proven to be quite popular, which is really nice. So I've been making a few more, so I'm going to quickly show you a few of the ones that I finished recently. So I make them just in different sizes depending on how much fabric I've got. So I've got one small project bag which has got foxes, and I've paired that with a nice mustardy colour on the bottom there, thread hanging off. Usually I leave the insides plain, but for this one it's got quite a fun sort of bobbly fabric, and I have some little labels which I had or was using when I was doing the Etsy, so I'm using those again. So I've got that one. I've got a couple in some, I found some scraps of tweed, really nice tweed fabric, so I made a series of bags from that. So I've got a couple in this nice beige colour with the sort of pink and purple stripes, and then I've got a couple of grey ones. So I've got this dark grey herringbone and then a lighter grey herringbone. So yeah, they're the ones I finished, and then I've got a pile more that are almost finished. They've all got zips and labels in, they just need the sides to be sewn up. So I've got one that's the purple Scottish tweed fabric. I'm not going to show you them all, just a quick little sample of some of the fabrics that I've got. I've made a couple with this really fun rabbit fabric, so I've done a couple that are all of the rabbit fabric like that one, and then I've done a couple with some contrasting, so I've done green, and then I've got one with pink contrast. And then I am making myself a project bag, and this one is to house my next planned cast on. So Zoe, who is the host of the Pins and Needles podcast, and who lives a couple of towns away from me, recently released her first sock pattern, which is the beach hut socks. Now I do have the pattern printed, but my printer is on the fritz. It needs a new colour ink cartridge, so I'm not going to show you the pattern. If I remember, I'll try and grab a photo from her Ravelry page and insert it somewhere here. But I'm planning on casting on her beach hut socks, which were inspired by the beach huts on Bleary Island where she lives. I've got my yarn already. I'll quickly show you that as I've got it sat here. For the main body of the socks, I'm going to be using this Rowan Fine Art yarn. This is a discontinued yarn, but they brought it out a few years ago, and it was designed for a range of socks that they had. And I've got a book somewhere. Rachel Coopy designed some lovely socks to go along with this yarn, but I've got this one in a nice sort of beigey colour, which I thought would be quite nice representative of sand. And then it's got a colour work motif which represents the beach huts. I've just picked out some mini skeins that I've got, so I'm going to be using this blue, which is Cascade 220, this green, which is from Yantan Tethery Yarns, and I love this yarn. This is my last little bit of it left. The colour is called Whispering Grass, and it's very special to me because Helen actually dyed this inspired by a photograph that I had put up on Instagram of a mossy path in the cemetery near where I used to live. So I've made some socks from this before, and this is what I've got left, so I'm going to add that into the beach huts. I've got this little bit of yellow left. This was from my stationery socks, which were a gift from my lovely friend Erin, which I showed a few podcasts ago. And then I've got this West Yorkshire Spinners in the Cherry Drop colourway, which was a Christmas colourway that they brought out a few years ago. So they will be the yarns that I'm using for that. So of course, if you have socks called beach huts, now you're probably expecting me to pop up a beach hut bag, but I've gone for something slightly different in terms of seaside theme, and I have got some seagulls. Ah! I love this bag already and it's not even finished. The reason, I mean, the seagulls are just hilarious, aren't they, really? But the reason I really wanted this fabric is because it has oyster catchers on, and oyster catchers are my absolute favourite bird in the entire world. They're just so hilarious. I don't know what it is about them. I remember first seeing them on a holiday when I was young. They have these, they're black and white, and then they have these really long orange beaks. Maybe it's the orange, because as you know I love orange. Yeah, I just love them, so I had to have this fabric, and then I thought it would make the perfect home for my beach hut socks. So they're going to be cast on just as soon as I finish this project bag, which will hopefully be when I get home from work tonight. Right, it is now nearly 9:30. I really do have to go. I've got classes for the next 2 days, so I need to do a cake run before I go and open the shop. But before I go, I just couldn't finish without mentioning that last week, amid all of the disastrous stuff that was happening with the shop, I had a super fun day last Thursday, and I got to meet up with my wonderful friend Lisa, who was over from America. Lisa is Use Your Yarn on Ravelry, and she was coming into Cardiff to visit the Doctor Who experience. We got paired up together in a Ravelry swap a couple of years ago, and we both love Doctor Who and obviously knitting, and yeah, so we've been chatting on and off ever since, and we've done various swaps and things, but she was coming over here to visit family. So I was able to hop on a train into Cardiff and meet her for lunch, which was amazing. She is so lovely. I mean, obviously I knew she was lovely, we've been chatting for ages, but she is just as lovely in real life as she has been in our correspondence over the last couple of years. So and we both have August birthdays, so we exchanged birthday gifts, and she very, very generously gifted me this amazing skein of Miss Babs yarn. This is one of the Yowza skeins, so it is superwash merino, and it is a massive 560 yards, and the colourway, now Lisa did pronounce this, and I'm probably going to butcher it, I think it's called reishi, and she said it's a kind of mushroom, but I mean, look at those. Is that not just me? Gorgeous, gorgeous orange tones, and there's a few browns and mustards, and when I pulled this out of the bag, even James says, wow, that's Angela colours. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled. I mean, the biggest thrill obviously was meeting Lisa, but to have such a wonderful, generous gift as well, it was just the icing on the cake, really. So I just had to show that off. I don't have very many acquisitions to show off on the podcast. I'm not really buying yarn, as you can imagine. I have lots of it in the shop, and from behind me you can see I've got my lovely stash of indie dye, so I'm trying to save pennies and not buy too much at the moment. So yeah, it's a really, really nice treat, and I shall be casting this on my birthday in a couple of weeks' time, so I need to get this wound up and find a pattern. I know that Susan B. Anderson has a few Yowza shawl patterns, so I'll probably go over and have a look at those first and see if any of those take my fancy, but I'm pretty sure I can come up with something lovely to use this. I mean, look, it's as big as my head and it's all my favourite colours, so yeah. Right, okay, so I am going to sign off now. Thank you so much for joining me today, and next time I shall be back will be a shop update video, so hopefully that will be next week sometime. But yeah, thanks for joining me, and big woolly hugs to you all, and hopefully see you again soon. Bye.